In the dimly lit attic of a quaint house in Bern, Switzerland, young Albert Einstein found solace amidst a world that seemed incomprehensible and unyielding. The year was 1903, a year before of his Annus Mirabilis, the miraculous year that would see him revolutionize physics. But this story is not about scientific triumphs. It is about a quiet personal revolt that shaped the man behind the equations. Albert's life, such like his attic retreat, was cluttered with half-finished ideas and neglected personal ambitions. His marriage to Mileva marriage, once a partnership of equals and intellect, had grown strained under the weight of daily struggles and unfulfilled promises. Their son, Hans Albert, was but a toddler, often crying out in the night, his wails echoing the unspoken discontent in their home. Every evening after the day's work at the patent office, Albert would climb the creaky wooden stairs to his attic refuge. The attic was a chaotic haven filled with stacks of scientific journals, scribbled notes, and books on physics and philosophy. But amidst this chaos, Albert found a strange sense of order. Here, he could ponder the mysteries of the universe far from the mundane worries of daily life. One cold evening, as the wind howled outside, Albert retreated to his attic, seeking the company of his thoughts and his violin. The instrument, a gift from his mother, was his second love after physics. As his fingers danced over the strings, coaxing out a melancholic melody, he pondered the latest argument with Mileva. Words had been harsh, and the silence that followed, colder than the winter air. Lost in the music and his musings, Albert didn't hear the attic door creak open. It was Mileva, her face softening at the sight of her husband lost in his private world. She had come to apologize, but the music held her back. Instead, she listened, the strains of the violin weaving a tapestry of their shared dreams and silent disappointments. Then, as if summoned by an unseen force, the candlelight flickered, casting shadows that danced on the walls like specters of the past. Albert's music grew bolder, more urgent, as if he were communicating something deeper than words could express. Mileva, moved by the raw emotion, stepped into the light, her presence breaking the spell. "Albert," she whispered, her voice trembling. Startled, he stopped playing, the abrupt silence hanging between them like a chasm. "Mileva, I didn't hear you. I didn't mean to intrude. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." Albert set the violin down gently, his eyes meeting hers. "No, it is I who should apologize. I have been so absorbed in my work that I have neglected us, our family." Tears welled up in Mileva's eyes. "We dreamed of changing the world together, but it feels like we are drifting apart." Albert took her hands in his, the warmth of his touch a stark contrast of the cold around them. "Maybe we need to change our world first, before we can change anything else." In that moment, they both realized the truth in his words. It wasn't the scientific discoveries or the accolades that defined their lives, but the love and partnership they shared. Albert's quiet revolt was not against the world, but against the neglect of his own heart. The days that followed were marked by a renewed commitment to each other. Albert still spent long hours on his theories, but he also made time for family works, for laughter, and for music shared with Mileva. Their relationship, once frayed, slowly mended, each note of the violin a stitch in the fabric of their love. On weekends, the Einstein family would take strolls along the Ari River, enjoying the serene beauty of Bern's landscapes. These moments, though simple, became the threads of that wove their lives back together. They would stop by the riverside, where Albert would sit on a bench, Hans Albert on his lap, pointing out the ducks swimming by, while Mileva stood by his side, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. One particularly crisp spring afternoon, as the sun cast a golden hue over the water, Albert turned to Mileva, his eyes reflecting the river's calm. "You know, these moments are what give my work meaning. Without them, it's all just numbers and theories." Mileva smiled, her eyes moist with emotion. "And without you, these moments wouldn't be possible. We are a team, Albert. Always remember that." As the seasons changed, so did the dynamics of their relationship. Albert began involving Mileva more in his work, discussing his ideas and seeking her insights. Though history often overlooks her contributions, Mileva's sharp mind and mathematical prowess were instrumental in many of Albert's early breakthroughs. One evening, as they sat together in the attic, poring over equations, Albert looked up from his notes, a twinkle of excitement in his eyes. "I've been thinking about the nature of light, how it behaves both as a wave and a particle. It's like our relationship, isn't it? Dual yet one." Mileva chuckled softly. "Leave it to you to find romance in physics." But Albert's analogy was more than just a whimsical thought. It was a testament to how he viewed their partnership, a blend of intellect and emotion, each complementing the other, creating a harmonious whole. In 1905, Albert's Annus Mirabilis, the miraculous year, arrived. It was a year that would change the course of science forever. In this span of 12 months, he published 4 groundbreaking papers that would alter the landscape of physics on the photoelectric effect, Brownian motion, special relativity, and the equivalence of mass and energy. But behind these monumental achievements lay the quiet strength and support of Mileva. She was his confidant, his sounding board, and his anchor. Late into the nights while the world slept, they would sit in the attic surrounded by books and notes, their minds intertwined in a dance of ideas and discoveries. One night, as Albert finalized his paper on special relativity, he leaned back in his chair, exhausted and exhilarated, battling for dominance. "It's done, Mileva. I think this one might be important." Mileva, sitting across from him, her eyes tired but glowing with pride, reached out and took his hand. "I'm sure it will be, Albert. You have worked so hard, and your passion? It shows in every line." He squeezed her hand, a silent acknowledgement of her unwavering support. "I couldn't have done it without you. You keep me grounded." As the papers were published, the scientific community was astounded. Albert's work challenged established norms and opened new avenues of thought. Yet, amidst the accolades and recognition, he never forgot the quiet attic where the seeds of his ideas had been nurtured. Despite the professional triumphs, the pressures of fame and the demands of his work began to take their toll on Albert's personal life. The attic, once a sanctuary, became a battleground of conflicting priorities and unspoken resentments. Mileva, feeling increasingly sidelined, struggled to balance her roles as a mother, a partner, and a scientist in her own right. One stormy evening, the attic door slammed open with a force that mirrored the turmoil within their home. Mileva stood at the threshold, her face itched with frustration and hurt. "Albert, we need to talk." Albert, startled from his thoughts, looked up, the storm outside paling in comparison to the tempest in Mileva's eyes. "What's wrong?" "Everything. Our life, our dreams, they're slipping away. You promised me a partnership, but it feels like I'm just a bystander." Her words cut deep, piercing the veil of complacency that had shrouded Albert's mind. He rose from his chair, crossing the room to stand before her. "Mileva, I never meant for you to feel this way. I thought we were in this together." "We are, Albert, but it needs to be more than just words. I need to feel it, see it in our everyday lives." Albert reached out, his hand trembling as he touched her cheek. "You are right. I have been so focused on my work that I have lost sight of what truly matters. Our family, our love, they should come before our work." Tears welled up in Mileva's eyes. "We dreamed of changing the world together, but it feels like we are drifting apart." Albert took her hands in his, the warmth of his touch a stark contrast to the cold around them. "Maybe we need to change our world first, before we can change anything else." In that moment, they both realized the truth in his words. It wasn't the scientific discoveries or the accolades that defined their lives, but the love and partnership they shared. Albert's quiet revolt was not against the world, but against the neglect of his own heart. And so the attic remained a sanctuary not just for Albert's ideas, but for the love that quietly endured, a beacon of light in the darkest of times.